Happy Friday, Brian. Welcome back to another episode of Art First.
Hello, hello. Happy episode 19.
19. Yeah, man. That's dope. That's really cool.
We're getting there.
I keep typing in the numbers and not paying too much attention to it. And, every now and then someone says the word and you're like, oh, yeah, we've been doing this for a minute.
It's going. I'm feeling good. I saw a tweet earlier today from Osinachi, and I'm going to summarize it, but it basically said something along the lines of, I'm sick of talking about how I got started in art, why I got into crypto and all this stuff. I just want to talk about art. And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're here to do.
It is. We should get him on the show sometime.
He would be awesome. Yeah, he's wonderful. And so I think a lot of artists are feeling that way more and more, where it's like, okay, yeah, we've given our origin stories. Let's talk about what we actually like to do. And so I'm really excited today to have A.L. Crego on the show, because he's a master of process.
Yeah, fantastic visual artist, GIF artist, and utilizing so many different mediums and things. It looks like I'm excited to get all into it today. So without further ado, let's welcome to the stage and the show A.L. Crego. Welcome.
Hello, guys. Nice for invitation. Always a pleasure. And thanks, Adam, and thanks, Bryan, again, for all you did in this kind. And I really agree with what you said about only talk about art, and despite speaking how we arrived to crypto art and so on is the point. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time, and you've been in crypto art for a while, right? So it's not just like you've been here long enough to have seen a whole lot of things happen.
Indeed. More than I wish at some point.
Yeah,
more than I wish. So up today I try not to look, like a horse with like this, and I keep working on my own stuff. So I am finding the balance between the love and hate for crypto art.
Yeah. And your art is primarily not always, but there's a lot of contrast in your work, a lot of black and white, a lot of GIFs, but it's not all just one style, but it is very unique and specific to you. I think if you don't mind, we'll pull up a piece here and kind of like,
sure.
Talk it through. Let's see what we got. This is 993 KB.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Nice what you said, because I usually work mostly in GIF format, but how can I explain? Because I study and work a lot previously in photo and video. It's not the opposite. It's not that I do GIFs because I omit photo and video. So for me, GIF embraces this, what I call the triad, because nowadays in our audiovisual culture, the photo, video, and GIF from the web, because it's a native online format, embrace all these past works. And it also connects with my previous works in street art, not as painter, but as a guy who was documenting all and doing animations in street art, so on. So at the end, I found in GIF a format for me, beautiful, because it's very small and very powerful. And as I usually say, that is the web is the canvas of the GIF. It's not that, So I'm, for example, in this work you are showing now, the 1993 kilobytes, the title is a kind of a statement, let's say, because it's usual that people confuse GIF with small things or something like this. And for me, the greatness of GIF is on its smallness, as a bonsai. I usually do this parallels with bonsais, because bonsais are beautiful and delicate and very well made, but they must be small. Very, GIFs for me over, let's say, 30 or 40 megas are not bonsais. In this case, I'll go video. So in this case, it's a 1993 kilobytes, because it's the size of these GIFs. Despite it's more than HD, it's big in size, but small in megabytes. And at the same time, let's say that embraces all my philosophy about social networks and evolution of humans and technology, and the good and bad sides of technology. How can I explain? I was never into social networks, but I was always studying them from outside. I was not the kind of guy who was placing myself on social networks and taking part on these things. Later, paradoxically, with crypto art, I have to jump in social networks, when in my head 10 years ago was, okay, let's see if in the future we can live from art without having to depend on social networks and Web 2 codes. And it's very paradoxical for me, even nowadays, that to be somebody in Web 3, you have to be somebody in Web 2. That I was fighting so hard the past 10 years for the opposite. And this is, I know it's the reason why some people in crypto art think even today that I am emergent or new or something like this. It's not that. I was moving in the whole web, and people past 10 years were moving mostly in social networks as Facebook, Instagram. And it's like the people was moving inside a trap, or, you know, a kind of torture. And this is from a series. I only released this one because it embraces, let's say, them. It's a guillotine, it's said in English too, a guillotine.
Yep.
That in the past, you know, was used to, you know, to decapitate people or thefts or sinners or something like this. But in this case, it's made with a motherboard of a computer, and it represents, let's say, the cancel culture. When you don't behave as people expecting on internet, they will decapitate you. And at the end, everything is a kind of game of technology, you know, because maybe we are not the same in the web as we are in real life. So for me, when I mix this kind of work with photography, because it's made from a photography, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was the guillotine, the original one, that decapitated a queen in France. So now it's in a museum. So I took a picture and rebuilt it with a motherboard. And all the chips is like this kind of evil machinery that internet represents nowadays, because it's a kind of, you know, good and bad, the evil and the good, because internet can bring us the best, because nowadays we can make our life from our digital online work. I always differ digital from digital online. They are different. And at the same time, it's a gift, because as I explained, GIF is digital online. It lives on the web. You cannot find GIFs out of the web, but you can find digital works out of the web. So it is all this in the same. I can't remember, 60 frames. I think there are 70 frames, something like this. And technically, to achieve this 1993 kilobytes, here enters a technique that surprised me, that is not very spoken in crypto art. That is the cinemagraph. Cinemagraph is a technique where you can achieve a very small size in a GIF. Because if I render this GIF without cinemagraph, maybe it will be 20 megas or 30 or whatever. But in cinemagraph, you choose where the motion is. So GIF understand that there is no data in these places that you. It's like if you put a paper and then you cut like a stencil, something like this. Right. So there is no motion in the places that there is in no motion, because when you do a GIF from a video, there is even this little noise of video that is from video. And at the same time, I think these past 10 years I was testing it, it has a kind of psychological perception, because you see a photo that moves, or a video that has. Yeah, so this for people is, when they don't know about cinemagraph, they ask, but this is a video or this is a photo? And I love this midpoint. I tell them, no, it's a GIF. And inside GIF, you have a lot of. So in this case, I love this piece for these reasons, for the, let's say, the philosophical background of all the history. Because in history, if we study history a bit, we discover that the biggest jumps in technology were mostly due to war. You know, how to make, how to hurt others. Same in the Middle Ages with, you know, trebuchets, or you know, later with the, you know, Spanish Inquisition, with all these torture machines that these kids from Syria. It's sad, because it seems that humans get creative to make hurt, you know, not to do good things. So at the end, this piece is about that, you know, and about the cancel culture, and about this midpoint between internet and how everything changes, but at the end, nothing changes. You know, the core reasons of we're alive and why we create and how we behave are always the same, you know, so the same as a Cro-Magnon, as a guy from the 21st century. And I hope everybody can understand this piece at first sight. And for me, this is very important, not having to explain all the background. Right. Maybe some, you know, some clues, like the, you know, the title, or sometimes not in this case, but I think it's easy to understood. If it's not, no problem, because maybe in the future they will vary. So no, I don't know.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. Sorry, were you gonna say something, Adam?
I was just going to say, I think it does read, right. It definitely does read as danger. It reads as, you know, as the tension in the piece it comes through. I think it was a smart, intentional choice to have red being the color of the electronics that are moving through, to mimic the, you know, blood and strife. So I think all of that comes through. I actually, I was aware of cinemagraphs as a concept of only this piece of the photo moves, but I wasn't aware that cinemagraphs are so optimized so that
Of course.
because nothing
Yeah.
else is moving, there's no other,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to interpolate any other things. So that's really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Well, it's also
actually, I started to use them when I was doing in 2014. So I knew about them since 2011. I think it was when two New York guys patented the name. So
Mhm.
I checked it, but they used, for beautiful things like birds and waterfalls, the technique. So I didn't like too much the artwork they were doing, but I understood the technique. So I incorporated to my street art animations because it allowed me to have a very big, a HD GIF, but in
Yeah.
very small size. And these games always, let's say that I love limits because they make me think how to surpass them. So I came from Tumblr when we have a limit of 2 megas.
Mhm.
And 2 megas to fix a HD GIF was very hard. So when I discovered Cinemagraph, when I take a picture of a street art, I do a huge panoramic, not only of the piece, because for a street art, it's very important the context, like this one exactly. So when I, in one side, I animate the piece, is only the piece that the street artist did, but all the rest there is no motion. So Cinemagraph help for this because there is only information, data that gives interprets in the motion, not in the left one. This is the reason it's so small, but in the right one, there is only information of motion where the arm and the USB is moving.
Right.
All the rest, the GIF interprets that there is no data, and from one side the aesthetic is like a photography because there is no noise or everything is totally static, and at the same time allows you to have bigger size in less megas. So let's say that is a consequence of limits. At the same time, GIF is a limit too. So I embrace these limits. And it was painful, to be honest, because by then, 15 years ago, in my head I wanted to do trilogies and documentaries around the world of 4 hours and whatever. And with time, I realized that I was good in 6 frames. Like, okay, maybe I have to stop this dream of doing 4 hours documentaries about sociology or whatever. And I have to, to focus on these little bonsais or poison or small things, or perfumes. And it was never intentional. It was a consequences of having very, very, very bad equipment because I never had very good equipment. And where I live, there is not a lot of museums or whatever. So I embrace these limits and I start to think, and also in a psychological way, because internet runs so fast and the span attention is not more than 6 seconds. So you have to achieve something very powerful in very small size and time. Because who sees a video of 1 minute nowadays on Twitter, for example? People don't have time for that.
Right.
So it's a kind of impact, a kind of, and of course, perfectly seamless loop, because for me, this is what breaks your perception of time. When you see a loop perfectly looped, you forget time, you get hypnotized. So I trust on this, like in a guy doing juggling, I always do this parallelism. A guy doing juggling and another guy trying. When you see a guy trying doing, it's boring because the balls fall. But when you see a guy doing good or playing drums or whatever, you enter the loop. And I think that GIF helps the hypnotize, let's say. So I don't know. I fell in love with this format, and I must say that I hate GIFs back in the days before. Before discovering Cinemagraph,
Yeah.
serve attention to GIFs. I was aware of them, but I only see
Well,
cats and memes.
Well, that's just it. I don't think that GIFs as an art form was really taken seriously and for many years, right? Like
Sure.
it's so I because the necessity of GIFs was just born out of wanting to have a little bit of motion in whatever the website was showing, and it was never intended to be a piece of art at the time. So I love
But
that was born out of this.
every kind of art is born like this. No kind of art was born as art. If you think back in a retrospective, painting in the caves were not thought to be art. It were more for for the shamans to make some or to document the place. Later photography, the first photographs are not art. They are
Right.
just technological
Documentary.
things that in time. The same with video. The first video recorded of the guys going out of the fabric. It's not art. It was just a try of doing new things. So for GIF is the same, but GIF is very new. It's only 36 years, only 36. So try to think that. Do you think that in the first 30 years of photography it was considered art? No way. The first 30 years of video was considered art? No way. The first
Right.
30 years of painting was considered art? No way. It takes time. So and GIF have a problem that I usually explain, that it was born. Sorry for the word, but it was born prostitute. in the sense that it was used mostly for ads in the web 2, the crazy ads, or for memes or for funny things.
Hmm.
So when I understood the format and all what I could do with it, my goal was I want to convert this in art, because everybody knows GIFs. It's a very well known format, and we can't either omit that 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it was not easy to, we didn't have good connection to the internet on our phones, not even good phones. So it was, people say, GIF is out of date. And I usually say that no, what is out of date is the technology, because GIF is like the bread. Bread was always in history of humans, or beer, but it develops with it, and GIF is still here and stronger. It's getting stronger because the technology now allows to place bigger GIFs in bigger screens with bigger quality. Photo and
Sure.
video, I don't, I drink from them, but photo and video, I tried many things. I never succeed nothing. So I have to think, okay, I have to look for another format, make it mine, not in a selfish way, but embrace it and try to do something now. So, and I think this is why I'm so comfortable about GIF, because I feel it mine, in the sense that is where I can mix all what I know about, philosophy or psychology or writing poetry and beats. I am a drummer too, and every GIF is a beat, so it must fit the rhythm. So it's like I did, I don't know how many GIFs I did in my life, thousands of them, but I feel that I haven't even grasped the surface of it.
No, I love that. I love that. Anytime an artist can find a canvas or a tool that they connect with, and then feel like they can spend their whole life, just scratching the surface of it. I
Yeah,
mean, it's moments like that that allow yourself to push yourself even further. And you're right. What's possible now with gifts is, how could it be a dead medium when it's really just starting to expand?
exactly,
From the times when it was, 2 frames, 3 frames at the most, right? To
exactly.
now being able to be like HD versions of this with cinemagraphs and
Sure.
other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well, uh,
we have to
even
clean it.
with ordinals, I think that's a perfect example. Everyone's trying to crunch down the size as much as they can right now, and what you're doing here is a blueprint for how they can get more information into those on-chain images.
Exactly. I think so. This is something I'm very concerned for two reasons. Because since 10 years ago, I'm trying to put my GIFs in digital canvas too. Actually, I have one at home of one mural from 2016. I was the guy who wrote them to, hey, you should do that. And they told me, but this is possible. I give them the idea. So, but there is a problem. In digital canvas, if you have a GIF over 20 or 30 megas, it's very hard to share. The same on the web. For example, I try to keep my GIFs over 15 because it's the limit of Twitter. If you don't have,
Right.
if you have something bigger, people don't share it. And for me, art is to be shared. And if you only collect it and then you can't share, it's like if you have a painting at home and never show to people. You know, for this, I don't know. You have, I don't know, your intimacy or whatever. But art, for me, one key point is to be shared. Like music. When you do music, the most beautiful thing is when you share music with other people and they relate. Even if I'm not talking about my own work now. When I see some good work or some good gift, and I buy it in object, for example, and I want to share in Twitter, it's like, shit, 90 megas. What? I can't share that. So I take my time to render it again and to make it small. And even sometimes the creators tell me, hey, how could you fit in my 90 megas in 12, in 10? Because I know how to treat GIFs. And people forget this side. People most times try to do a 4K video with millions of colors, and then they try to put it in GIF. And it's not about, GIF art is not about that. GIF art is not about placing a huge tree, a sequoia, inside a pot in your house. GIF art is about growing a bonsai of a sequoia in your house,
Yeah.
since it's a seed. So to make a good GIF, you have to think a lot previously to start. You understand? Because if you do a video of 10 seconds, 60 frames per second, millions of colors, when you translate to GIF, it will break. So you have to think first, because GIF have a 2, 5, 6 limits of colors. So if you work with gradients, for example, of a night sunset, they will break. And this is the reason I work a lot with black and white, what I call black and light. And this is a process of years of finding that only with white and light, having big GIF with a small size, because it has only one color, that is no color, that is
That's
light. So
smart. That's really smart. And also just I love that the limitations that are within the tools that you use are what drive the intention behind, the output, right? Like you said, most of it is limited color, but that's not just because you like the look, but it's driven out of the ability, the constraints that are in the format, and then what, how far you can push things if you know what to push.
Yeah, and it amazed me, to be honest. How can be possible that using only one color we can do so many things? So every day I do something. How can be possible that only using light? Because I call it light, not color. It's only light. But the same happens with me with music. I'm not a musician. I just play drums and do things. But it amazed me how can be possible with only 6-7 notes you can create millions of music. And this is when enters the creativity and the approach and how you understand the format and the color. But it's the same as in painting, because I work a lot with street artists that use a lot of colors, and I admire them. How can they speak so nice color? But for me, when I see a guy using in a palette only 3 colors, it's incredible. It's how can you do that with only 2 colors? And at the same time, the same parallelism. If you have a lot of colors in your physical palette, it weighs more. But if you only use white, I know it because we run some street art festival, and when we curate some people that only work with black and white, it's very easy because first, it's cheap. They only want one color. And second, they need almost no tools. But when we hire or we go curate somebody that works with tons of colors, we have to, get a lot of colors, and they use maybe only 1 liter from 1 liter. At the same, so I learned a lot from street artists and how to translate this philosophy and aesthetics to digital. So, and up to today, I love that because I only go with my computer and no more. And this is something I thought when I was 14, like I want a work that a computer allows me to go anywhere. And because up to today, I hardly ever use my camera even. I am a photographer. But now with the artificial intelligence and so on, instead of putting a chair and take a picture, I tell the AI, give me a chair in this position because I know how to decide the composition. So I am a photographer that does not use his camera nowadays. And so it amazed me that only light, it's my speech since the past 5 years that I fall in love with light and video and photo and GIF. They all embrace light. So
yeah. I mean, you're a mixed media artist because, like you said, you're a photographer. You have a photographer's eye, but you also have a very strong understanding of visual effects and animation and the technicalities of just the data itself. And so I think your art reflects your skills very adequately because it's like you see, when I look at your art, I see how you make it very, very clearly.
Thank you.
And just the ability to make those perfect loops is not easy. And so that anybody that can make those things loop nicely, I know has a deep understanding of frames.
But also aesthetic, right? Understanding the medium.
Ping pong GIFs. Yeah, exactly. And I know that, how can I say, I never did this kind of GIFs of ping pong or what I call the auto tune of GIFs, that is these GIFs that move itself. But this isn't real. This doesn't create the hypnosis. Imagine, I usually do the parallelism with a film or with a song. Imagine a song that at the middle start goes backward. It's annoying. Or a film, step Memento, for example, that is previously thought to be and it has sense. But for me, when I see a ping pong loop, what the creator is telling me is that first, he didn't have the skills to create seamless, and 2, is lazy because he doesn't want to create the other half of the loop. So for me, it's essential. I understand that people maybe don't like perfectly loops, but I know one thing because I speak with a lot of people and they ask me advice. And when I explain them how to do a perfect seamless, they never ever went back to ping pong loops. It's impossible. So it's like this, and about the span, lifetime.
And anytime I see loops that don't that don't either ping pong or don't restart seamlessly, it's very jarring, and it's often not intentional that they're someone's doing it. It's more of a lack of understanding of the end product or why it would be aesthetically pleasing to do it that way. So it's that drives me crazy.
I mean, I am a writer too, and I could write a justification for it, But at the very end is a lack of skills. It's the same as a drummer. If you listen a drummer doing a beat, and he cannot play in rhythms, you will say you cannot play the drums, or maybe doing a kickflip in a skateboard.
Sure.
Actions have. I usually say that a good GIF never starts and never ends. This is the point, because
Yeah.
and the better the GIF is, for me, is when I can't detect where it starts or where it ends. But if
Yeah.
there is a ping pong, I can see like cack, cack, cack. So I detect it.
Sure.
It even sounds to me, because I use a lot of musicality in my GIFs. I have a whole series called Visual Beats, because it's how I call that. That is all about music. GIFs have no sound, but they have a lot of musicality if you understand the motion. So for me, this is essential. I understand if people don't want to do perfect loops or whatever, but for me, it's essential in every of them.
Yeah, no, they have a rhythm to it, and an understanding of that rhythm is what makes a good piece great. I was looking at some of these pieces like this one last night
Sure.
for a long time. I was just staring at it because it's so seamless. It's so the fact that everything blends so beautifully into each other. It's very hypnotic,
Yeah,
and I think
this one, let me explain. This one of this style, I call them giftigism, like pointigism,
pointillism, yeah, giftigism.
but brought into digital, because pointigism came from the very single element of traditional art, that is the point. As Kandinsky in the book, the point, plane, and so point, line, and plane explain. So I was thinking about that, and as I use only white solid pixels here, and a pixel is a square, which is 4 points, which is a plane. Kandinsky will be saying now, what? Because in a screen, everything is a pixel. So I call giftigism in a way of saying that giftigism, because it must be a GIF, it must be only made with white pixels, and it must loop. And at the same time, related with the sound previously, in this case, there is not musicality, but it's more like a sign, like a mantra, like something. It has no catch, no rhythm. It's more like an ambience, like a visual mantra. So I try to, again, embrace all this philosophy with light and giftigism. And actually, if you go back here in Super Rare, I have one piece called, is my most almost insulting piece, that is called Statement. Go back, it's only a white square. It's very minimal. No, go down. Because more. This one, the dot. Can you click the dot? Because it's not actually a dot. I know very few people understood this piece, so I would like to explain
Let's talk
it,
about it.
because
Oh,
let's say it's a statement about all these 40,000 years of traditional versus what we are living now. It's a statement because in the title I explain a bit. Can you go down? So
yep.
that is the dot, what I explained before, became a pixel, the canvas became a screen, and the matter became light. This is the whole shift we are living nowadays. So in the GIF, what I did is a black point, a black dot, that is the minimal element of traditional art, and slowly, very slowly, changing into a white pixel that is our minimal element of nowadays. Even a painter nowadays, when he takes a picture and put on the web, he's translated into pixels. And
Right.
this is one thing. This is one thing I kindly omit in the past. Okay, I love painting. I do my traditional art too, but I thought, okay, why only digital? Because at the end I will be posting on the web, so I will do it strictly digitally. So I omit this part, despite I use a lot of processes, of course, in analogic thing that then I translate into digital. So this piece is a statement about that, about all the shift we are living, but it's too far, it's too early. We cannot meet 40,000 years of traditional art in front of 50, 60. Our head cannot understand that. So this is why I say that this is my almost insulting minimal piece. For people, it's just a dot. For me, it's the summary of all what I did this past 15 years. So I hope in the future people understand it. So no problem about that.
No,
That's
that's
awesome.
beautiful. Yeah.
But it's not, it's not just to make something like in crypto art that people sell in pixels or whatever. I hope it acquires sense with time, and people can understand that this is what I consider the shift. It's from the point to the pixel. And sorry, but this won't stop for the next centuries, because now everything is digitalized. Even painters. So and I have nothing against traditional. I repeat, I don't have friends, digital art friends. All my friends are sculptors, painters, are traditional artists. I drink a lot from them. I learn a lot from them. But I just omit this process and I go directly to the web because GIF and GIF is online native, so I feel comfortable with that. I'm trying to push the limit. Like okay, let's respect all the traditional art, but let's try to do new things because nothing is new until people start doing it. If I have to wait for somebody else to start this, I will be waiting. And this is what I did in 2014, already. And then crypto art appeared and they forgot that we were already doing that in the past. And I'm focusing on the blockchain, of course. I was aware of since 2014 that Kevin McCoy did the first NFT. I was aware of that because people was using my work, and I was saying I am working for free for others because celebrities and televisions and newspapers were stealing my work and putting in their webs to promote things. And I was saying, hey, and and sometimes I wanted to make legal actions, but they told me, no, GIF is the web. GIF is from the web. It's not yours. No, yes, it's yours too. But I am the creator. So I was started to thinking, how can I protect my work? And I quick research and I found the blockchain. And then until 2019, I'm not a coder or a web developer, so I was waiting for some platform to offer me to mint the work. So Makerspace in 2018, before they opened, contact me, and then I start minting. So thanks for Makerspace in this case. Even nowadays, I keep fighting for it. It's like the eternal emergent.
Yeah. Well, I think much like you, I think you can look at like Nyan Cat or Matt Fury. The space has really become a place for artists to kind of reclaim their culture. And so I think that's a really wonderful thing that we've seen kind of take place. And yeah, I mean, your art is proliferated all over the internet, and it's inspired so many people. And so it's always really cool to have those eyes come back to you.
Same with Nyan Cat. I think he came also from Tumblr because I was never using social networks, but I was deeply involved in Tumblr. Since I entered Tumblr in 2014, my work went viral for the street art GIFs, and I was seeing all of them. Xcopy was there. I mean, Exponential Design, PS Lysis, Anna Manila, we were all there. So when crypto art started, we all, from people from Tumblr, was like saying, hey, why these people is inventing what we were already invented 10 years ago? And even nowadays is hurting a lot of artists, crypto art, because I speak with them and they speak with me. Like, hey, why these people, I'm referring to Super Rare and Nifty Gateway. In my case, I was rejected from every platform. Like, what? How can you reject me from what I started with other people? So, and at the end, I have to, this is my pain in crypto art, because it's like, the fact of me not being never in social networks on Instagram and Facebook made people thought that I never existed when I was already working decentralized since I am 15 years. I know the word decentralization since I am 15 years ago, since I am a child. So it's like crypto art now. I see two sides, like the real ones that were always working for this, and the neo traditional art, because it's all everything became exactly into what they wanted to fight back. It's like, but you weren't saying that no house of actions, no middleman, decentralized artists, and suddenly everything is turning into it. We know money trashes everything always, so we know.
It does. But at least there was a purpose, right? Like, so you saw the benefit of the blockchain as being a place where you could have a record of just in terms of origin, a point of origin, right? In terms of staking a claim and saying, I didn't just put this on somebody else's server, on somebody else's, app. This is mine. This is my, plant
even so, I keep thinking that I understand all the context and all the narratives and so on, but I always try to explain that we should start to give more importance to the art creation rather than to the token provenance, because sometimes we give importance to the token provenance, but the art was created 10 years before. For example, the piece of the birds up there, it was in 2017 or 2015, I can't remember. But as the token was created this year, people say, no, this is from 2023. No, actually, the piece is much before the crypto art started. And what matters in art is the persistency of time. Art
Yeah.
acquires value over time. Tokens loses with it. We saw all the bubble. We cannot, close your eyes in front of what we lived past years, because many grails of digital art, whatever, are nowhere nowadays. Meanwhile, our work is present. Where is the value? So in the token or in the piece? And
That's a good question. Because I
yeah, no,
know,
I know
yeah,
I know the reply. In artistic terms, is in the art. In
yeah,
numismatics terms, is in the token. There are
right,
different things. There are totally different things.
right.
And crypto art coast that these two went together. So when I see some pieces nowadays, it's like, wow, this is very expensive, but we did this 10 years ago already. So where is the value here? So
Hmm.
I respect it, in some way. At the same time, I have my own opinion, and some people seems not to understand. I understand them because they weren't there in the past. So this is why I don't like when people call me emergent. Like, no, you are the emergent. You are arriving to my place, but I am entering
Yeah.
Twitter just. But in artistic
Yeah.
terms, you are the
Yeah.
emergent.
It's the artistic statement. And speaking of, I just want to quickly say thank you again for being a part of my month
Sure.
of curation at Click Create.
No,
Your piece that
my
you released,
pleasure.
Giants, is fantastic, and getting to see all these people collected and people coming out and saying how much they love your work over the years. It was just really cool to see everyone kind of come together and give you your props.
No, it's me who has to thank you, because you were what I was talking about. You were aware of my situation and you offered me your hand. I am deeply grateful for that, and thanks for you. Now more collectors this past month discover my work, and they are starting to understand all my context. So it's me who is thanks for you, Brian, deeply. I
My
I, I,
pleasure.
I won't ever forget that, and the same for the other artists, because I was seeing the drops, and people is like people is saying that this is the best month they are. I think you saw the best month Click Create digital drops, and it's thanks for you, not for us. It's thanks for you. So
Thank
deeply
you, thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Totally.
no, I'm excited. Next week I'll be doing my own piece, and that'll close out the month. And yeah, I'm very proud of this whole month. So,
You deserve the best drop or for to be honest, because I value a lot when artists curate, and you are an example of it, because I saw these past years curators curating things that they don't know, and as I usually say, we cannot curate what we don't know. The same as a doctor. A doctor can't curate what he doesn't know. In your case, you are very, because you are from Tumblr times two. You came from the back, and you know what is what and who is who and how things work. So when an artist like you curate, people trust on your work. So this is why when you ask me to do this drop, I say instantly yes, because I feel like in a good place with, like an angel with the wings protecting our perception. And so I do trust on you, and I am happy. And good luck for yours. So, but I know you will have a good drop. So
of course, man. And no, it's well, mine's gonna be easy because it's all airdrop for free. So, but that, I guess that's a nice segue into artists vouching for other artists.
It is.
And
It's something that
uh,
you've done, not just in Click Create, but also for your whole career with all of this. I mean, that was
I agree.
you, that was, what you're describing about what Brian did for you for this and for so many others. I mean, that's what he did for me when I came into the space. He said, "This is Adam, check him out. He's pretty cool." And that alone, like that's immediately the time I met like Coldy and Eclectic Method. Like immediately these people were all like, "Okay, sure. If Brian likes him,
Exactly.
I'll give him a shot." And so I think
It,
that's kind of what we also try to do with the show, right? In terms of
yeah,
like spotlight.
It's important who we listen to.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it's true.
exactly, and I think that's one of the things that we love to do is to be able
Yeah,
to uplift other artists, and that's there's no better time to do that than now.
yeah.
You think we do a little show and tell?
I want to hear what AL's into. So let's
All
do
right,
it.
here we go, little show and tell. All right, this is the part of the show where each of us has picked out the three pieces from artists we've either collected from or just think are really cool and need a little extra boost because they're awesome. And so nobody really knows what everyone has picked except for myself. So I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to pick some pieces and we'll just do a little brief chat about. And at the end of the show, on our Art First Twitter account, we send out links to all the things that we talked about on the show. So you can go ahead, like, follow, subscribe to all of that stuff and check out the artists. And maybe if the piece is available, you can pick them up. So, Al, let's start with you. Here is a piece that you picked out to
okay.
right, let's go here.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, let me say that I found this exercise very interesting, not only about talking about our work, because sometimes I see a lot of artists that they don't deserve, so they don't have what they deserve, or the people don't understand all their work. So I try to choose three that for me are maybe not directly inspiration in technically, but in the way they understand. And in this case, since the first day I arrived Crypto Art, I found Lucas Aguirre work. I got instantly fell in love for first because he came from traditional painting, and I love the way he translated all his knowledge of traditional art and painting and street art into the digital sphere. It's not only take a picture and so on. So I choose this work because he does this works from photogrammetry, and then with the 3D models,
Oh, wow.
It's
he
so
works with paint, digital paint, so he works on that, and then he gives motion to it. So for me, I choose this work. It's hard to choose one of his work, but for the black and white vibes and the motion, and but for me, this guy I usually explain. He represents for me what the bridge between traditional art and digital art should be, because he is embracing traditional art without forgetting it and translate it into digital realm. Not as other people that was doing painting and suddenly they do 3D. This guy is
sure.
embracing both sides. So, and one thing he said when I met him in a podcast is that he works a lot with photogrammetry and virtual reality painting, because the quote was more something like, because he doesn't how can I explain? He still have the corporal move, not only with
Mhm.
a mouse, because doing a sculpture or painting with a mouse is not really
Yeah, it's hard.
inspiring. But with
Right.
he does in VR, so he moves his work, he can have the traces and so on. So this guy hacked my head, and I bought a VR headset to try to do that. I never could, but it was a kind of inspiration for me, and I said that this is what I will be doing if I wasn't in my GIF art or so on. So big up for Lucas Aguirre. Please check all his work, because all his work are gems, are elegant,
Yeah.
are technically beautiful. They are meaningful too. And he works mostly with models at his home with his girlfriend or family. He scan them and then he translate to sculpt and paint and then render again. So please, Lucas Aguirre, for me, one of the best digital artists we have nowadays.
Amazing.
That's really
No,
cool. Yeah, using the photogrammetry in that way is so smart. It
So
gets as a kind of a cheat around having the model, but then you can really get the poses exactly how you want, almost like a photographer would.
exactly, and the paint process I don't understand very well, but he once he has the 3D model, he plays the VR and he starts to paint manually the 3D models. So
Wow.
this guy is what I say. He's embracing both cultures, the traditional into digital and respecting both. And I
It's
think
yeah,
this
very
is a key
cool.
point. So big up, Lucas.
a great share. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. People definitely should check out more of Lucas's work. But speaking of photogrammetry, which is interesting, let's see. Oh well, actually, this is a different one of that you picked out. So you know what? We'll just stay here because I want to move from one into the other in terms of photogrammetry. So another piece that Al you picked out is this piece here,
Yeah,
which I thought was
Danny.
really cool.
Wow.
Danny Leone is no, Lucas is Argentinian, and Danny is Argentinian too. So I don't know what they eat in Argentina, but I like Argentinian people because they have always kind of creativity. I think it has to be also with the limits they have sometimes, or the land they live. But in this case, Danny, I'm not sure, but I think he came from traditional art too. And this is again a mix between photogrammetry from one of her streets, and mix it with traditional painting later, and then all together. I'm not sure the process, but all her work for me is incredible for this reason, because I can't know if it's 3D or 2D or painting.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Sure.
it has, of course, a 3D vibes for photogrammetry and so on, but later I don't know what she does. I don't even want to know it. I'm not curious about her process because I enjoy it like this.
It's just
But
yeah.
all her work is a kind of mix between these two worlds, and she's very elegant at the same time. These dark vibes that are not, nightmares. It's just elegance. So, because I love a lot low K works, And I think for digital art, she is doing pretty similar as Lucas Aguirre, in the sense that she's embracing both aesthetics. Drinking a lot from traditional art and painting and work by hand. But later, for me are digital. You know, if you tell me that this is a 3D render, I will say okay. If you tell me if it's a painting with very good scan, I will tell you okay too. I don't care.
Sure.
You know, in this
Sure.
sense, and all her work, because she has a lot of works, and nowadays she's doing new series. I think I am a bit disconnected lately, but when I see, I know a good artist for me is a good artist when I see their work and I realize in one frame who they are. You know, I know this is from
Totally.
Dani. And
Yeah.
each time I see a Dani's piece, a Dani Leoni piece, I know it's from her. Even when she uses more colors or in different aesthetics, I recognize. And it's like music, you know, when you listen
Yes.
a song from. So for me, and for me, this is very difficult nowadays in a world that is full of artists with a lot of inputs and a lot of videos and video. So for me, this is a good artist is when my head said, okay, this is from Dani. So
Amazing.
Dani Leoni, check her work also because she's a GM.
It feels like something that could be out of like a Silent Hill video game or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, yeah. Never thought.
The lighting
Never
feels like
thought about
it's
that.
another like coming from another vehicle, right? Or like, you know, a spotlight, or someone's just trying to not to be found.
I always think the same. I never ask it, but one question about this work is this: is, hey, Danny, did you place another car to make the lighting of that? But to be, you know, sometimes I don't know. I don't know. Want to know the process because I
Right.
don't care in this case. If I love the piece, and another thing is when I find something that I could incorporate into mine. How do you do that? Because I find interesting, but in this case, I don't know how Danny works. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just love her works.
That's very cool.
Speaking of works that I don't know how they were made, Brian, you shared. You've got a share here that I have no idea what I'm looking at, but it's cool.
Yeah. So this is
here.
Fountain series by Bard Ionson. He's an OG AI artist from the space. He's been around for a long time, and this is basically his GAN interpretation of like Duchamp's Fountain.
Oh wow!
And so it's a collection of AI generated toilets, and it's just a really fun collection. And when originally he was selling them, they didn't have TNYC like 2 years ago, and he would print out a Polaroid on the spot and sign it. I think it kind of flew under the radar. They were minting. I mean, you can scroll down and see how much they minted for. They were like almost nothing. To keep going down, I guess sorry, you got to go up to the. 0.0001.
Great.
And it was just like this really cool concept. And now it's like, you know, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And I think people are starting to get it more.
Yeah.
But it's that early AI stuff that's really fun, but it's got a fun concept behind it as well that I think resonates.
Duchamp's Fountain, but it also almost has like a Lost Robbie's kind of feel.
Yeah.
Or that early GAN sort of like very abstracted versions of objects and fleshy and.
I always found very interesting how machines imagine. This concept is great. You know, maybe aesthetically is not my kind of work, but the what is behind them fascinates me. Like what a machine imagines. You know, and when you start to use AIs, the process of understanding how they imagine is crazy. It's like when you speak with schizophrenic people or something like this, you know, you have to understand their codes and how they. So I know this guy from long ago, and it surprised me that he's so underrated, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I think he should be on that pantheon of top OG AI artists alongside Pindar and Claire and everybody else.
Without doubt.
So speaking of AI artists, so somebody that I came across, I believe is more of a newer AI artist. And again, even though it's a very different aesthetic, it's sort of like, you know, I don't know fully what their process is. I don't know if it's straight prompting or if there's additional work that's done, but I know they identify as an AI artist. But there's this piece that I found, and this is when I look at AI and I'm like,
oh, cool.
You can see, you know, just all the different versions of where AI art has gone. And this really just like stood out to me. It's gorgeous.
It's AI, really.
Yeah. That's
when I do this question, it's a good sign, because when I doubt is when I say, okay, I love that, because if I can't defer, my head doesn't care, you know. Maybe I don't like it or whatever, but if my head can decipher if it is or not, so it's beautiful.
And the artist is Lisa Elliott, and I just wasn't, you know, there's their work, which I didn't grab other pieces of, but there's a very similar aesthetic happening throughout their work. And at one point, this is somebody I found through being on Warpcast, and so
Nice.
one of the pieces that she had shared was really striking, and it had these, characters with the pointy ears. But then I think she had shared one that was very similar, and it was, she wasn't like hiding the fact that it was just a different output, right? And that was one of
Yeah,
those things where I was like, wow, that's really fascinating to see the versioning, that you're doing with AI and what you
totally.
choose to
And,
put forth.
and let me say that because I think it's, I don't know if important, but despite all the critics about AI and so on, I still think that this will influence a lot painters. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it happened in the past with Photoshop. I say because in street art, I saw many times that people doing their work in real life for a week, and I told them, "Hey, this is this effect from Photoshop," and he told me, "Hey, how do you know?" Because it's my tool. So digital always influence things. So in this case, I think will maybe painters don't want to use them, maybe, but they will see on the web a lot of things from AI, and maybe they. For me, if I was a painter, I will be close to paint this.
yeah.
Totally,
Yeah,
And
totally.
we had Kaylee. I showed one of her pieces like a week or two ago on the show, and she creates the base in AI, then digitally overpaints it, and
Exactly.
then takes that final piece and paints it for real on canvas.
Exactly. This is
And
the
so,
point, and
which
I
is
see
amazing.
I see no problem that people hate sometimes things they don't or process they don't agree, but it's not your process. Let people do their process.
exactly.
The problem is when you prompt some stuff random and you sell it because yes, this is the point that I don't really like, or when people use stolen works to fit their own custom model or whatever. But this is not fair. But it's the same in other before AI. It's not okay if you go steal your friend's work to sell as
Yeah.
yours. It's the same. It's the same.
Right.
So I do love this guy. I didn't know that, so I will check it, Lisa Elliott.
Yeah. All right, Brian, we're going to take a hard left turn on this next piece that you shared here.
What did I
Okay.
share?
You
Let's see.
shared this. Are you
Oh
sure
yeah.
you want to pretend like you'll never die? Which is one of the most amazing titles for a piece of art. And then I know that it also came from this,
Yes.
which is
So
the
this is
minting
a
site.
Sergeant Slaughtermelon. This came
Mhm.
out last year, and I just keep going back to it as one of the strongest releases I saw in the space last year. Because, I mean, I don't know if you can go to that website. If you press, I think the arrow, or you felt this way, or down at the bottom where it says like "I can't," or like those words down there below it, in the blue to the right. Sorry, go
Uh,
up a little bit, go up a little bit, and you'll see like they created all of like this is kind of the version of the website before was interactive and you had to like dig around to find all these different things, but every pop-up was mintable,
wow.
and and
Really?
That's
and
so cool.
each one is its own like funny joke. And so if you go back to the open sea and look through the collection, you'll just see like some really awesome works. And some of them are just playing on like that kind of solitaire repetition stuff. But it's just a super fully fleshed out concept of making old OS stuff into art.
Gosh, I
Yeah.
love that so much. I love this so much because
This
it's taking this. If you're familiar with what this is, right?
exactly, exactly.
That horrible moment when you're trying to just do something and save your final draft of the paper that you wrote, and then it glitches out, and then wherever you move your mouse, you're dragging all these
Totally.
instances of sprites. This is beautiful to turn that into a piece of
This
artwork.
kicks nostalgia in some way. I don't know if this kind of words have a name, but in my head I call them Windows Core. Like because it's
Yeah, Windows Core. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
what you said when you were a child and trying to do things and you break the computer and what is doing. But I think this is joke, but it's very smart jokes. It's intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
plays on nostalgia. It
Yeah,
plays
I
on
love these things. It's visual
uh,
poetry.
this is
Yeah.
this is very satisfying, and this just like how many of us, and look, I get it. This is very niche, right, for a specific time in a generation. because my
Totally.
kid will never know what this is. My kid will have zero connection to have zero feelings for this right here,
Totally.
or never know the pain of just waiting for it to finish going.
See,
But
for a floppy disk of 3
yes,
megas.
Yeah.
but I
But
think
it's
love that.
also
beautiful.
It's telling these deeper stories about humanity via these old animations and icons and stuff. I just think it's
Who,
fantastic.
who is this guy? Sorry, who is?
Sergeant Slaughtermelon.
How you write it? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, Sergeant. Okay, such a name too.
Yep. And
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
have, again, I'll have all
Yeah,
links to all artists.
they've also done like art blocks drops. You have to go to created. You're in the featured thing.
I'm in the featured. Didn't see created.
But a lot of their work plays on old '90s aesthetics.
Yeah. Windows Core strictly. I love that
For sure.
and I love the philosophical jokes too about that. So I never knew this guy too.
Yeah. No, it's such a fun project, and I haven't even had a chance to look through everything yet. They're just so dense, and like there's one of those things where you could mint something and it'd be like 500 editions for like $1, you know,
Right.
and like, or you could find the one of one and that would be 1 ETH, or you know, it was like trying to dig through and find all the different editions you could get. So I ended up getting like 2 or 3 at the time, but I go back to it.
I like when people do this kind of tricks and puzzles in the blockchain.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That is an album cover. Really nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a jump here. I'm gonna jump into this piece here.
Oh,
this is called Float.
This is your choice, Adam?
This is one of mine. Yeah. So okay. Fran, I believe it's Fran S. Migrassi, because the way I saw it written somewhere else was like it very clearly identified as Fran. But just I love this aesthetic so much.
I can hear it. You know what I mean before.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And the negative space in the right is very well made, and I love this aesthetics too. What I told before, that only when with one color, with black in this case, you can create something beautiful and aesthetically powerful. I love these guys.
Yeah, and also just like, you know, seeing things that I like, aesthetic choices that I never would have thought to make, like the shadow underneath being a pulsating object, you know, where the character is static but the shadow is moving, and having the smiley face.
Exactly, yeah, smiley and sad at the same time. It's bouncing. So
yeah,
it reminds me of like a street sign or something. It's really cool.
Exactly.
It takes me back. One of my first jobs, one of the things I had to do was animate like the circulatory system of like dots moving around a body, and it was like the most tedious thing. And I see that in the arms and legs here.
Yeah, with all the white lines. I love this. I love the you know, anytime I see like little particles coming off of something, it reminds me of like Akira, you know, with the details, you know, skin flaking off and slogging off. Like it's beautiful work here.
And easy to remember.
Yeah,
you know, a good piece for me must be easy to remember, and this is hard to forget. So nice choose, and I love the smiley saddy guy. I love it.
Adam knows I love a tan background too.
I know you're quite partial to the tan background. I had my tan background moment, but it's very much a Bryan thing. So
it's not. I don't own it. I'm
pretty sure I looked it up. I saw a copyright under your
name.
And backgrounds. I was like, hey, fine. It's fine.
That swatch is mine.
So then, but thinking about this piece reminded me of this piece that AL shared here, which I'll see if I can blow it up a little bit. There is audio. It's not going to play through here because I didn't jump through the 5 hoops.
Not seeing it full screen.
Let me see. Here it goes.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this guy is from another level, you know. I met him. Even he's from Spain, but I wasn't aware of him until we did a exhibition here in Galicia, and he was one of them. And I discovered his work, and it was like, what is this guy? The sound here is very atmospheric and well designed. But this is, I think, I won't say the only one, but he works a lot with colors too. And actually, I talked with him in person one day, asking how did you do that, because he used 3D, but it's not all what he does is 3D. It's also photo and video, but he mixes in a way that looks 3D. So this guy is he creates poems, let's say. It's a
Yeah.
visual poem
Visual
because
poems. Yeah.
very symbolic and very sometimes minimal, but if you look closer, it's a lot of meaning. This was about the exhibition that was called the Panopticon. The Panopticon is this kind of jails that everybody is in a round, and in the center there is a tower that looks all around. So he did a kind of meaning about that you are in the center and giants looking at you, what you do, and so on. That is a bit of how internet works, because we are all in a panopticon. But this guy, Ancho Vizcaino, I will say that is from this
Hey,
past
look at that
year.
one. Got a little algo by you there.
Yeah.
Yep. You were in this one. Yeah. In this show, in this curation.
Yeah. We were, I think, 10 or 11 artists there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Really
That's
cool.
such a cool piece. It reminds me a little bit of like depth passes when you render out of 3D and you
3D
get this
depth.
black and white one for doing like
Exactly.
blur effects and stuff.
Exactly. And let me say, because we both are from Galicia, I didn't know until I met him that I thought he was from Madrid or Barcelona, but we live in a place that there is a lot of fog. And when I was talking with him, because I use a lot of depth blurs too to create some of my pieces with AI too, because they work for that. And I told him, do you realize that here in Galicia, the fog is the natural depth blur? Because when you are driving in Galicia, it's very foggy. You have these feelings of a 3D depth map. So it's like nature is very, is not for me only, but for him too. Is one of our inspirers, because the sea, we don't live in a very, it's not, there are no cities. It's mostly rain and trees and fog. So when I see this work, I ask him, "Did you do that because the fog in Galicia?" He told me, "Yes, kind of, because it's the natural depth blur, as Brian said." And in 3D, we use it for composition and lights and to define the distance of things. But in real life, when it's foggy, as Silent Hill again, let's say, it's the same. You see natural depth fogs. So I encourage people to watch more of this work, because this is the black and white, and I choose because I love black and white, but he has a lot of colorful works. And there is always some kind of poetry inside if you look closer and if you realize the meaning of the piece. So, and this guy is a genius for me, because he does a lot of things with very few. And he's a very, I met him too. It's not usual, but he's a very kind and humble guy, and surprised me that this piece is not even sold. So this is promo for Ancho. Hey, buy this work, is incredible.
Well, we're gonna link it up. So hopefully, somebody, we have a bunch of people watching live, so that's
it wasn't my intention to make promo, but I checked it yesterday.
It's okay. We want artists to make sounds, right? Like, I mean,
sure. No, I say because yesterday I checked it again, and it surprised me that it was not sold, because this is from 5 or 6 months ago. It's mint. It's like, well, what? So let's buy some punks or instead of this.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna wrap it up with one more piece, because Brian, did we do all of yours or no? Wait,
I got one more.
You got one more, and then I got one more. Okay, here we go. So let's go to your one more. Let's see where it is.
This is very interesting, guys. I repeat, it's very interesting to see these pieces together.
Well, I wanted to show this one more as a shout out to the awesome guys at Red Lion Gazette. They put out this NFT this week, which is their final issue, which I believe is still minting. I recommend people go check it out, and also just go back and look through their there's 187 covers, and it really documents the space. Different artists did them. A lot of them were by a core group of them that are awesome. And I was really kind of bummed out to see that they're ending this journey. But in terms of people that were around documenting the space on the ground, Red Lion has definitely been one of the best at it. So I just wanted to give a nice love and shout out to the team there.
They were doing strong work past years. I think I did one of the first two with them years ago.
Nice.
I don't know.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
But I didn't know this is their last one. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they announced it this week, and so this is their finale. I mean, I assume Red Lion will still be around doing other things, but I think they're done with this.
I think so. I think they are creative people, never can stop working. So I hope they keep working in another area, because their work is neat.
Yeah,
and now I see the sense of this cover now, because your weekly guilty pleasure is here. Not I understand the sense of the.
Yeah.
So big up for them indeed.
Yeah. Good share, man. Good share. I guess we got one more left. Going from cartoon to cartoon, we've got this piece here that speaking of gifts, this one just kind of stole my heart yesterday.
Uh,
And to bring it full circle, it was actually just collected by NorCal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is just so much fun. And I
Beautiful.
was again, this is from like I just went searching through exchange art, and Joyce Liu is she's got a whole series of these adorable little simple shaped characters doing these repeating animations. Moosh 42 is the one that I picked out to show you, but man, let me tell you, these are just little
Ah,
Oh,
gems.
yeah. Oh, look at
I,
these sales. Holy
And
moly.
everybody knows that they're gems because she's posted them for 1 soul to start, and they're ending up with like 100 soul, 30 soul,
Wow.
157 soul, and good on her, because like
Yeah.
they're
indeed,
just
very. This is
adorable.
skills. I mean, I invite this kind of people that can do too much with soulless. I invite
Yeah.
because sometimes for me it's impossible. I have to add layers, and then I
Look
see
at-
the one you show with the tomato
Yes,
is just perfect
it's so
because it's
good, right?
very small and direct and skills. You need the skills to go so simple.
To be able
Yeah,
to
the
tell a
fire,
story. Yeah,
the fire is incredible.
yeah,
So
Yeah, I
cool.
love that. I love that. This is
Yeah.
character design people, pros, professionals of character design.
yeah. To be able to tell a story with as few shapes, and
Uh, I imagine a video game, like with these guys in a video game will be sick.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it makes me happy to see animation doing so well over on Exchange Art. That's
uh-huh.
great.
No,
Indeed.
everything about this is encouraging. And it's just like this could not be
Yes,
more up my alley. Like, look at this stuff.
totally. And the cloud is beautiful. Yeah, this is skills. I know. I invite these people really. How can they
Yeah,
do so much with so less?
yeah. So I very
Beautiful.
much encourage everybody to go check out their work, and linked up will be all of the pieces that we talked about today. And yeah, honestly, I mean, I can't thank you enough. I think this has been wonderful insight, both into your process, but also your mental space in terms of why you do what you do, in terms of the aesthetic and cause and effect of limitations, and working within those limitations. So I really
Indeed.
appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on today.
No, thanks for you again. Let me say again, because when I explain what is behind my work, I think it got quite more sense, more than watching it. So for me, it's always a pleasure when people as you give me voice to, because I love speaking too. I think you realize. So when these occasions work, and with you, and even more with the company of Ryan that I already know a bit more, is all perfect. So I have nothing more that grateful, and thanks for the trust for inviting me really deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, this was so fun, and it's great to have you on, AL. And yeah, I'm hope more people take the time to go check out your work. It's all over the place, and it's very diverse and very wonderful. And cheers. Congratulations on the sale earlier this
Sure.
month.
Again,
Very cool.
thanks for you, and also I love this exercise of watching other people pieces. I never did it, and I will check again to see the names because I love it, and I think it's very healthy to check, because in my head I only watch what I like, but when I see other people works that they like, I love listening to and I learn. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep it doing it
great.
because it's very
Yeah.
healthy.
Thank you.
Thanks
And
a
great
lot, guys.
recommendations today.
Thank you,
Sure.
guys. Yeah, and thank you everybody for watching. And I'm not gonna tease next week because it's a little bit fluxing right now. So we'll figure that out. But we will make it work. We'll be back here next week, 2:00 Eastern. Thank you so much, everybody, for checking it out, and we will catch you in the next one.
Goodbye, guys.
Later.